So we've been practicing writing some basic paragraphs and chunks and things like that. But as you get more into writing and you have to write arguments, a major part of an argument is a counterclaim and a rebuttal. So as we look at these notes, one of the things you should be able to do is point out what is a counterclaim, what is a rebuttal, how are the two different from each other. So let me give you some basic information to help you fill out these notes. Now, I do tend to speak fairly quickly, so most likely there will be times and places in this video where the video is paused. But please listen and pay attention. Let's start off. What is a counterclaim? A counterclaim is a challenge to your original ideas, your original claim. A counterclaim is going to point out a question or a problem somebody in your audience would probably have with the information you're saying so far or you're writing so far, because people are skeptical, but it is a question or a challenge to what you've already said. Okay, that's what a counterclaim is. 2, importance. Why are counterclaims important for writing? Number one, it's important to show that as a writer, you are thinking about your audience. You're aware of their questions and concerns. But as a writer, you want to build ethos for yourself. You want to come across as an expert, that you know the material. So pointing out what other people think is one way of presenting a fair and balanced argument. And you do want to come across as having that authority to present what other people are thinking as well. But the counterclaim should be small. It should be just a sentence, max, maybe 2 sentences. Let's take a look at some samples. So if your original claim is that werewolves are a hoax, they're fake, they're pretend, some questions or concerns your audience might have could come in the form of a question. So if werewolves are not real, why have so many different people from all over the world reported sightings? That's a good question, something that should be addressed in your work. Or maybe they're going to do a counterclaim as a statement. While many individuals believe werewolves are just a myth, science has provided some explanations for why people believe in werewolves. These are both challenging and presenting ideas that work against the claim. So now let's get into what is a rebuttal. A rebuttal is the writer's chance to disprove the counterclaim. The rebuttal is either going to show that ideas in the counterclaim are wrong, incorrect, or somewhat misleading. But it is going to point out that, once again, those counterclaims are wrong. So this is where the argument comes in, and you're going to have to prove that what you originally said in your first or second claim is accurate. Why is that important? Once again, being able to disprove random ideas that tie into your claim, um, questions that people have, concerns your audience has, shows you have ethos. You're an expert. You understand the topic. And you understand it so well that you can point out misunderstandings that other people have or incorrect ideas that other people have. You can explain why those ideas are wrong. Now, there are specific parts to a rebuttal. First of all, there's a concession. What is a concession? It's like meeting someone halfway, making a compromise. You could say something like, while X, Y, and Z may seem to be true, it in fact is incorrect. So you're saying, okay, I understand why someone would think this, but now let me point out why it's wrong. You're not just saying you're 100% wrong. Or maybe you might come up with something like, although it is understandable that some people might believe X, Y, and Z, it is misleading. And then you get into why it's misleading. So concessions point out that there might be something a little true in what the counterclaim is saying, or you understand how people could be confused or misdirected, but you're going to point out how these ideas from the counterclaim are wrong. It's just you're doing it in a polite way. The next thing is the setup. You want to make sure that your reader understands that you are about to disprove the counterclaim. So you need to let them know. After you say something like, while it is understandable that people may believe in werewolves, werewolves do not exist. As stated in the text or as mentioned in the video, and then you want to give the name of the author or the name of the text or the name of the video. So your reader is aware, oh, you're about to give me evidence. You're setting me up for preparing to see why that counterclaim is wrong. Then, of course, you actually have to give the quote, the evidence, and cite it. So it shows that you did some research. And then, of course, the explanation. With that quote that you give them, you have to explain this is how this quote disproves that counterclaim or points out how it is misinterpreting an idea. But you do have to break down and give reasons how and why the counterclaim is incorrect. So there are parts to the rebuttal. The concession. So you're like, okay, I understand how some people could believe this. Now let me give you evidence to show that this idea is wrong. You give the evidence, you cite it, and then you get into how and why. This is why what people are believing is incorrect and this other idea is accurate. So if you do all of those things, people should see this is what a counterclaim is, this is what a rebuttal is, and you should be able to include that material in your writing.